I am going to start. Attention has a tendency to be directed. It's one of the most important sentences I've ever heard. It's told to me by multiple people who work in somatics. Do you know what is somatics? I'll come back to it, but it's a Western collection of body mindfulness practices. I really got into this sentence when a good friend of mine who teaches in the Art University of Helsinki, both the visual artists and the actors and the dancers. And he's a professor of philosophy, and he's also a long-time practitioner of Zen Buddhism, as am I. And he has a formal education on somatics. So attention is one of those things that, like, I ironically don't pay that much attention to. And attention is always directed somewhere. The direction is either done by you, or then something else is kind of having your attention. Like, I am now probably having your attention to some extent, at least. And attention is a really interesting thing because it can go from outside your body. So I can be aware of or attentive of the corner of that room, but then I can move it inside my body into my hand, or to my thoughts, or to my taste, or whatever. There's a lot of talk about psychological stuff and cognitive stuff, but we don't talk about attention. So attention is like not only psychological, it's phenomenological, which means that, oh, there's somebody coming in. We just started. You're welcome to join us.
Thank you.
I hope you can hear me. I try to stay closer to the mic, but let's see. Does this work? Maybe I'll use this. So yeah, attention has always a tendency to be directed, and I'm going to let her instruct them. So you can practice attention, and attention is one of those things that if you want to seek for a connection between play and playfulness and then meditation, like, attention is a really good kind of anchor. We'll probably return to this later. This presentation, yeah, please.
One of my friends noticed that when she's driving on a freeway and then she has to navigate, she's she was amused that she has to put the volume down on radio to be able to think. And then Soma Järvelä, who is a cognitive scientist, said that actually it makes sense because if you are directing your attention to both the music and when you are driving, but if you close one sensory input out, it makes it more easy to focus your attention to that one task that you have.
Yes. Let's do it like this. When you have a small point, say it out loud. If you have a longer point, make a mental note or write it down, and we'll return it to later. This is a spin. Sorry? No, I think I gave you all of the papers already, so unfortunately there's no more questionnaires. I didn't know that there's more people that would be interested. Let's see.
Yeah, I guess you can have my paper.
If you want. It's, if you want to do it like, yeah. Also, like, yeah. And if there's still people coming in, I don't have any more papers. I just had a presentation about Academic Gamers, the association. It's a 10-year-old association, and this is a spin-off. This is more like my project, but it's still like connected to Academic Gamers. And these are our taglines: love for games, freedom of discussions, and license to overthink. So if you want to have a license to overthink, join our organization. This is a little bit about that. So we celebrate the culture of having weird ideas and then overthinking them, and like allowing ourselves to be those selves that have the right to overthink. It's a really important right in the society. It's somehow always dismissed. If you're an overthinker, like I am and have always been. I'm also very an expert on meditation, and I'm still an overthinker. So if you are, allow yourself to be one if it's part of you. Ludusoma is a long project that came into flesh in 2019, but it's a much longer process. This is a visualization that I originally made for myself to kind of contrast this weird dryness and grayness of Zen, and then the colorfulness of play and playfulness. And I kind of like this. I used this in the event as a picture. This is the questionnaire that you got. Unfortunately, we ran out, but so Kaisla doesn't have one, but I think you're okay. So I run these workshops, and we start with an explanation of the concept. I start with this lecture, basically. The researcher in me would like to start immediately with that, but it tends to not work, because whatever you start with kind of rings out throughout the event. So if I just put people to do the questionnaire, they already start to feel a little bit objectified. So now I'm just giving it you as an option and to check it out. But I usually give the introduction, and then they are really keen on to do the questionnaire. But if I start immediately and want to know how are you feeling right now from the get-go, you actually start to feel a little bit objectified, which is natural, because you feel like you're a research subject and I am like poking you around. It's a really interesting phenomenon. But this is something that is held throughout the entire workshop. So we go through these moments, and I would like you to now to go into the moment number 2 and intuitively feel it if you want. If you still want to follow this, just do it quickly. Just put out numbers from 0 to 10 if you want to do it. Do you have There's no pressure. You really don't have to. It's not going anywhere. Okay, so tonight I'm gonna, in a very short manner, going to try to explain a little bit about the philosophy and practice and workshop type based on this idea of Ludusoma, which combines meditation and playfulness. So it's a fusion of play, embodied and somatic movement awareness practices, but not done as dance or kind of practice or sport, but rather like really fun games. And then, because those kind of workshops already exist, but more like children's games and yard games, and then we reflect on it. So I'm trying to unpack that a little bit here, and what's the point? We're using these concepts quickly. I've been telling this many times this day already in different presentations, but in the Finnish language, like game includes actually 2 concepts, like peli and leikki, which are different in Finnish language. So you would rather want to use the word pleikki, a new kind of word, to have them both, to have an exact translation of the word game, which is in France, jeu. From a French theorist, Roger Caillois, comes the word paidia, which means actually leikki, but he was not aware of Finnish language, meaning like free play or children's game. And then ludus, which is a more structured, formal-based, goal-oriented game. So, and then we use the concepts of playfulness, mindfulness, Zen, and maybe a little bit this weird concept of enlightenment. Third moment. How do you feel? Can you mark it in the questionnaire? Does this affect you? Yeah, you give a number from 0 to 10 in each of the experiences. On the M means the moment. So now we're in M number 3, right? Yeah, no, M number 3. So now you can like give numbers to the 2.
So we're still marking on safety.
No, you're marking on all of them. Yes.
So I would mark here.
You're going to go through here. So you're going to go safety, playfulness, presence. But it might be a little bit too complex. So if you don't feel like you want to follow, it's okay. It's just the idea of the questionnaire, not the feeling of it. So the name of the Ludusoma comes the joining of these words. Ludus, like I said, it also translates into playful love. Then Soma is a concept that means both the lived body and the object body together. So this comes from somatics, which is a tradition that aims to be more scientific, is not yet so, but it's a phenomenological concept. Have you heard about these concepts like lived body and object body? Do you know this? So the object body is the way that like in sciences in general, like sciences that aim towards objectivity approach the body. So they look outside, they want to measure, they want to see it, and they use the typical senses to measure it, and then tools. So the doctor looks at your hand as an object, basically. And you, especially with body mindfulness practices, you can start to use the so-called proprioceptive senses. So your inner senses, you can train them and be more aware of them. So that's the lived body. So you can become more aware of your like spinal movements or more accurate stuff. And this is the project of somatics and somatology. And Soma is just referring to those two things always being together. So dancers use this a lot. So you have to be like aware of like where your body is objectively and how it is like embodied. And Duso means developing understanding of self and others. So it goes nicely in the middle. Unfortunately, I do not have photos of Ludusoma workshops. The reason is obvious. I keep safe space, and photos and recording and videos change it to performative very easily. Maybe one day I'll have workshops where we do that as well. But it's yet another factor to bring in. So I really want to keep it as safe as possible. And so we just don't have photos. There's no inner need for the workshop to have, but it creates this little bit of challenge because I have not anything to show you. Luckily, I have friends who, Taika the Unicorn and Nalle Keränen, who are the mascots of Onkiniemi Atelier, the space where I also run these things, have agreed to come and help us. So in the future, if we need to imagine and think about things, we'll have these not stuffed animals, but pehmolelu. What is that in English?
Stuffed animals.
What? Plushies to help us. Okay, you could look at this presentation as a personal ad in that sense that if you're interested in I'm being ironic, of course, but if you're interested in workshops or exploring these ideas, please send me a message and I'll inform you about them. And I'm really interested to connect with people who are interested in this stuff. Children playing is something that we kind of want to get back to, but as adults, kind of the same mood. So I've been lucky enough to find people, adults who are willing to like do some kind of children's games or yard games. It's surprising how easy it is to find them. Not a huge amount, but still. And I think Ropecon is one place where that's not so surprising. So one of the foundations of this idea was this is my personal like game and playfulness history, which is like the strongest game flow experiences that I've ever had in my life was when I was a kid and we used to play this Punainen valo vilahti YKK game where it's a form of another game and I never remember the name of the game. You will remember it, but we used to have this kind of red wall. So one person would stand in such a way that their back was towards the other players. And then they had to look at that wall and they had to say Punainen valo vilahti YKK, which means the red light is blinking 1, 2, 3. And then look back and the people were moving towards that person. And if they could see that person moving, then they got caught and they had to change places. So you won if you were able to reach the wall before you get noticed. Do you remember the name of the... Bailey is the...
Red light, green light.
Red light, green light. Do you know this game? Yeah.
Bailey is the variant where you don't say anything, you just randomly turn around.
Yeah. This is better. So, video games are awesome, and so are role-playing games, but I was kind of haunted by the idea that I remembered that this was better than video games. And then I started to try it out with friends, and it was still better than video games. So I was like, okay, maybe people are capable of doing that and want to do that. In game studies, I started to. I later on come to the place where I arrived to game studies. But from game studies, from ludology, I found out about these researchers. I think it was Henriksen and Sutton Smith, but I have to actually admit that I'm not 100% sure. I was trying to check it out. But anyway, there is this idea that this term was thrown around called the encapsulation of games. And what they mean is that, encapsulation of playfulness. So when the technology, and especially the digital technology, is starting to reign, we have a tendency in the society to encapsulate the playfulness, the embodied playfulness, into these forms. And it's, of course, very much connected to industrial society and capitalism, et cetera, et cetera. So they kind of start to own the playfulness. And I wanted to create a space where we could like start to get it back. And I read this Finnish game studies paper, which talked about it actually had a lot to do with yard culture stopping because people could buy better houses, bigger like own houses, and then this kind of village culture that we still had in the suburbs up until some point were vanishing. So that the yard games vanished, but it was only possible for it to vanish because we only had like linear communication. We had phones. We didn't have the possibility of openly communicating and in such ways that you can now do with the internet and social media. So now it would be actually again possible to ask your friends to have a party to play yard games and children's games. So it was actually we're in a better position. We just haven't created the conventions for that. So yeah, encapsulating playfulness into something like this, and this is one of the most. I mean, I love video games, and I'm always excited about new hardware. But this is one of the worst things that can happen to the planet because it's massively unecological, and it's only entertainment. So you can't even like say that you need it. The further the technology goes, the more we consume resources and the more we let carbon into the atmosphere. They try to hide the results, but it's really horrible. So like then I started to think like if I had this game flow already as a kid, which was better than these games, and now we're kind of destroying the planet in order to create playfulness, then maybe I could do some, maybe I even wanted to do something without any kind of like a huge moral project, but rather just like, what's the point? Okay, so I started meditation practice over 20 years ago, 2004 or 3 approximately. Zen Buddhist, I read Hardcore Zen, and I immediately found it to be my thing, and I started practicing. I have practiced since, but I also added layers and layers, and I was always interested in more into embodied practice and meditation practice, and I haven't stopped. It's my basis, but I also have a lot of other practice, and I've also practiced Vipassana as long, and yoga, and then the somatics that I will talk about a little bit later. Just to give a kind of a mental image about Zen and the typical posture. So every embodied practice has some kind of a posture. It's either moving or staying still, but Zazen, it's one of the typical postures is this one. Then eventually I found out about somatics. I went into courses. There was in Joensuu actually a school where they taught about this. It was part of one of the bigger schools of Joensuu. Can't recall which school, but the sports school. And they had managed to gather up these dance and movement teachers from around the world, and they made different kind of somatic practices. There's a lot of different practices. You might have heard of Feldenkrais or authentic movement or Trager or contact improvisation. Have you heard about any of these? And the point of this is that they're close relatives to like yoga and meditation, but these are actually Western practices. And the intention behind them is the fact that Western people have a tendency to want to understand very specifically what is happening, kind of like very critically in that sense that it could be connected to like sciences and to other traditions. So somatics really aims to bring this kind of meditative practice and this embodied practice into a very specific awareness practices where you can, for example, like follow what is the effect of your hand movement, how does it connect to your left leg, and how does that feel? What is your posture, and can you feel the different parts of your back or your hands very accurately, etc., etc., etc. So, and what does that mean? So it's like the intention is more scientific and research based, but the method is this kind of awareness practice. This is the core book of that tradition. If you get interested, you want to check this book. It's called Bone, Breath, and Gesture. So I started studying ludology, meaning game studies, in 2012. Actually, let's take a moment at this moment to fill the paper again. And then I want to hear if you're, or just, are you noticing anything interesting when feeling? Is there any change, or have you mainly felt the same way throughout? No answer.
Some stay the same, but some have changed.
Do you feel like you want to share? You don't have to.
For example, safety and playfulness have stayed about the same, but effort has increased.
Yes. It helps to have a tool, to something to extend your mind to understand like what you're feeling inside. Okay, ludology meaning the study of games as games. I started to do that 2012. I relatively early on read the first classic called Johann Hausinghaus' Homo Ludens, meaning the playful human, and other classics. And there are more interesting book covers as well, but this is the one that doesn't have copyrights. So, and I wanted to take the Ropecon thing serious, so I took it there. I'm really sad. Maybe our playfulness experience drops completely looking at this cover.
And the effort, right?
Yeah, the effort is huge. Unbelievable.
Effort takes a hit, like I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, how many of you actually know anything about this book? A little bit? It's used in other sciences as well, or other research traditions like theater, but in game studies it's really fundamental. And Hausinghaus states that this really revolutionary sentence that all culture is born in play. So I thought to myself, okay, does that mean that like it also happens inside my mind? It's like if my thoughts are part of culture, can I play with my mind? And of course I can. I can imagine stuff, for example. Does it also, is all meditation culture born in play? Well, if Hausinghaus says so, that all culture is, then also meditation culture. What Hausinghaus means by this is that in the beginning of birth of all forms of culture, there had to be, before that thing was invented, there had to be a playful state of mind to create this new form. So even like things like capitalism or industrialized society, which are now rock solid ideas and serious ideas, from Hausinghaus' perspective, they were originally from a very playful state of mind. That it's just not possible to go without that start. And then he defined play, this idea of free play, which is non-utilitarian, but it, like true play, does not have any intended outcome. It might have usefulness, but it's completely non-relevant. And the meaning of play, in an idealistic sense, is in itself. In other words, it's very, very close to meditation in that self, that the meaning of play is in that moment. And you're not supposed to get anywhere. You can get from one place to another. Of course, he's referring more to like a children's type of playful mode than, for example, a game with clear structures or goals. But even those, the goals inside the game are imagined ones. They're played goals. They're not real. They're not serious. They're not outside of that magic circle. And they're only there to help this idealized form of play and playfulness. So it's a really interesting phenomenological concept.
I mean, in play, isn't there like the outcome, like intended outcome of having fun?
Now we move into the difference between like objective, like kind of similar as the object body and the lived body. It's like the whether you look it from a phenomenological lens in that moment, or whether you take a step back and look at it. But the goal of having fun is a paradox if fun is a phenomenological state where you are currently. I'll get back to that if I have time. I have to move on. So basically, mindfulness and Zen practices turns the attention from the outside world to the inside. That practice leads to a more mindful state. This is the core of Ludusoma. It's like, why do we, from the get-go, why do we almost always seek for outer physical material to bring about playful body-mind states? We go from the extreme cases of digital games to board games to even LARPs having a lot of material in general to tabletop role-playing games. We go to artifacts, we go to physical artifacts to produce an inner mental state of playfulness. Can't you not do that as a practice, as an embodied practice? Can't you just turn your attention inside and try to do that? So there's few contrasts of meditation and play. Both are immediate, happen in this moment. Both research is also interested in what's going on right there at that moment. And therefore, they're both really hard to study. They have different qualities. I'm not going to go that much into that right now. So that raises the question, can you practice play or playfulness as a psychological or even a spiritual or embodied conscious practice? We can do that with dance. We have a lot of those. We have 5 rhythms. We have ecstatic dance. There's a lot of hippie dance stuff and less hippie dance where you do awareness practice, but not games or play. In order to, I got really interested, so I wanted to, I needed to gather people who would be interested in that again. So interested in children's games and meditation. So I created the Ludusoma workshops. Here are the guys that are supposed to present the participants. Just to give you an idea. So we gather up together and we practice with that questionnaire and with reflection and with meditation practice, and then we do take in some materials whenever need to be, like the ball. This is one of the spaces where I do it. The idea is that now, maybe for the last time, can you fill the questionnaire if you still want? The idea is that in the workshops, we do that really quickly. We do it really often that we fill the numbers. We do short meditation, then we do it. Then we play a short game, like Punainen valo vilahti YKK or peili. Then we do it again. Then we talk, then we do it again. Then we play a game and we interrupt the game by doing a meditation. Or we do a long meditation and we interrupt with playful elements. And we start to formulate a understanding of how they affect each other, even resist each other, and start to maybe understand what are the rules of the body-mind to get to a more playful state. Yeah, I guess that's the first. Yeah, and one thing is to contemplate, of course, like the opposing states like seriousness or effort or something like that. So if we have if we have this kind of idea of enlightenment, meaning we reach some kind of a theoretical, fully mindful state of body-mind, then can we have the same with playfulness? Can you actually carry your playfulness throughout your everyday life? And after these years and decades, I have managed to do that a lot, and I encourage people to do that. A little bit of my personal encapsulation and unencapsulation of play, I have been able to be part of an organization that created a new culture from a very playful state of mind. And I'm now working as a person who builds meadows and works for the biodiversity. I don't think this would have been possible if I didn't have people around me, both in a wider society and in our organizations, that can think like that and can play a new form of culture. And now, like, my work is becoming more playful, and I get to support the values that are, as values are more important to me. So it's a kind of a power beyond LARP, because LARP seems to be constrained into contexts that are not out there that much. Of course, LARPs can do a lot, but you can go further. This is our visualization of where we're aiming at in Tampere, in the yard of a big church, to have it fully to become a meadow one day. So, this is the last slide. You want to join my cult of enludiment. Ludusoma is a proto-spiritual practice, or kind of resembles a spiritual, but not really. It's a deep psychological practice. It's an emancipatory investigation and self-study. It's a possible platform of future academic research as well. But mainly and mostly, it's just people getting together, having really much fun, especially in an embodied way, and trying to share and contemplate like what brings that about. So it's celebrating playfulness and mindfulness together. That's pretty much what I had to say. I'm not sure if there's yet another show coming into this room after me. Is there?
I don't think.
There's nothing in the schedule.
I'm gonna leave you with this image. So in Zen we ask if this and that has a Buddha nature, so I'm asking if teddy bear has a Buddha nature. It's an inside joke, but anyway, yes, discussions, questions?
Yes, so
Thank you. So in practice, what do you do? How often? Where? With whom? Is it possible to join you?
Yes, absolutely. I do it whenever I can. Now, the current space is located in Tampere. So I don't know where you're based. Are you in Helsinki? So if there's a space where it can be held, I can come and we can do it. It can be a day. It's easier to do as a multiple day thing, but day is just fine.
And how big the space should be?
It depends on the amount of people joining, and it's good if you have at least 4 people. It's better if you have 8, and then the space according to that. Of course, during the summertime, you can also do it outside. We did parts of it last year, Ropecon workshops. We did parts of it outside as well. So it depends on the weather and stuff like that. But you can try to imagine, you can measure the space by trying to imagine a little bit of the games that you might feel like people might need to play, and then those are we're playing. There's 2 more things that I need to say. That we're playing very simple games, but then in the Ropecon workshop, especially last year, we also started to build characters on top of the game. So we played really simple games, but then we started to make an embodied character. That's one possibility. And see how, like, you use it as a form to help, like LARP or connect to LARP. And then the, like, research-wise, the really interesting part is there from a scientific perspective is that then what happens when we've been in the character for a while, then what we do with the questionnaire is that we take another copy of it and we start to fill it from your everyday self perspective and then from the character perspective. And then that's when it gets really interesting, because your character might experience all of those things very differently than you do. That's the kind of deep version of this, which is really, well, yeah, it's a whole other discussion. Did that answer? Did you have a...
Sure.
Yeah. So, first, any pragmatic questions, and then if...
And maybe a follow-up question, that then in Tampere, is it like once a month, once a year, or whenever you can?
Whenever I can, and it depends on the other people. So I need to get people who are interested in this to get together, right? So it's not so much about me. I can be there wherever. I can create the games, the practices whenever. But if I find enough interested people, and then we together know when to decide the schedule, then it starts to happen, right? Yeah.